You know, I often wonder what's going to be the next trend, the next big thing that's going to set fire to society. You know, like how Bitcoin, if people would have got Bitcoin early, they would have been multimillionaires if they would have invested in it, but no one really knew about Bitcoin until it was too late. How when YouTube first came out, it was kind of interesting seeing people make videos, but no one really cared about it because it didn't really pop off into the mainstream or it didn't really take off yet, and it slowly and gradually increased. But now I'm looking at the proliferation of artificial intelligence, and it's going to be integrated into society. One day you're going to see AI everywhere, and right now I've been looking at coding and things of that nature, like some of these coding classes and stuff, and it's pretty complicated. Um, but I'm just wondering, like, what's going to be the next thing? Is it going to be like another type of YouTube that's going to come out, or some type of artificial intelligence platform that if you hop on it first and early, you can blow up and be successful, or what? I'm always wondering that. And I'm wondering, like, being at the right place in the right time, how that would define everything. And what sparked that was I was watching this little documentary, and it was showing this kid in Africa, and he was like going through the trash, and he was picking out all these computer components from like all these broken computers and stuff like that. And he made like pretty much his own computer with his hands, which is crazy. And when you see stuff like that, it's like, wow, this kid is in, total poverty, but he still has a soul of creation and innovation. And it just shows me that the human spirit in some people it's undying, it's unwavering. It's something that can take on many shapes and forms. It's kind of like a liquid or substance where it can be liquid or it can be solid or it can be whatever, or gas or whatever, can just transform. Like the human soul is very powerful. And I believe a lot of us got some creativity inside of us. A lot of us have, business ideas, business ventures. We just need to figure out how to actually sell what products we're trying to sell and try to get the money to even finance this. It's very difficult. But I'm wondering, like, is it gonna be another platform where somebody uses like AI, where you can like create like an AI avatar, and then you can like play through that avatar or something like that, like a 3D holographic screen or something like that. Imagine that. Imagine like having something where in your living room you press a button and like a 3D holographic screen comes on, a 3D holographic, avatar. Like you can pick a cute anime girl, whatever you want, and you can communicate with people like that. And it's like an online YouTube type of thing. You can make AI worlds and stuff like that. You can make like cities and things of that nature with the artificial intelligence, hologram. This is something I've been thinking about. I wish I had $1 billion investment or something, you know, and pretty much, that being like a start in something new, something creative. If you see the world today, man, it's so much hatred. There's so much, the preliminary flames of war that's taking place. It's like this world is always something wrong going on. And right now people are talking about, the Charlie Kirk situation and how that affected people. And it's a scary world out there, man. When it comes to when you're speaking and talking your mind and things of that nature, or when you're just trying to just do your own thing, you feel like you're a target a lot of times, you know what I mean? And I know a lot of us who experience economic deprivation or not around a lot of wealth and power and success, we tend to have a certain type of issues mentally, and that comes from just not being able to do what you love and what you want for a living, man. And I just hope the future, a lot of these kids figure out how to utilize these artificial intelligence programs, like the coding and, because I always want to make a video game, right? But it's like, I'm old school, like all this AI and all this shit it's like, what the fuck? It's like some shit I was seeing like Halo or something like that, or some shit I was seeing like, you know, Gears of War with that one little robot. I think it's Jack. Jack, rip this door, and Jack comes and rips the door. If you ever play Gears of War, you know what I'm talking about. That little robot that cuts open doors and shit. I don't know, man. I want to see technology that can actually educate people's minds and souls and spirits. Like we're in a generation now, we have all this technological advancements and enhancements, but people are suffering from depression. People are suffering from economic, deprivation. People are just suffering, period. And so I'm thinking about who's the next Plato. Who's the next legendary philosopher who's going to come out of this time and actually manage to overcome and achieve, and speak. Because all the great philosophers of old, if they were to come in this time, they'd be like, what the hell? Because it's like, this life leaves you like, it tries to like, there's so many things happening. Because I got people emailing me and stuff like that, telling me their life stories and stuff. And I don't want to give all their business out there, but I sometimes I ask them if it's okay. I'll talk about certain subjects. They're like, yeah, just don't mention my name. I'm like, cool. But certain people, like this one person I'm talking to, he's talking about how like his car broke down. You know what I mean? And like he has to choose. Okay, do I get some food or do I pay for my car being fixed? Or do I just say F the car, get a little food, and then save the rest for like that help pay for the rent faster? But he needs his car in order to go to his 9 to 5. So so it's like, you see, and he has to make that decision. And he was telling me how he has nobody in his life that's really trying to help him or anything like that, and he feels trapped, isolated, and devastated. And I have other people telling me different stories. Like this one person was telling me they were just starting school. Like he goes to school in person and he goes online. And he was saying how difficult it is, when he's trying to talk to these girls in his class, like how like he feels like when he tries to talk to him, yeah, he may get him to talk or whatever, but whenever he tries to close the deal, there's always some bullshit going on. He was just telling me like, why did they do this? Why did they play these little games? I'm like, bro, man, you know what it is, man. I ain't got to explain. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that can explain that. You can go to a channel called Taylor the Fiend, and believe it or not, he shouted me out once, a long time ago, or commented on my old channel. Yeah, Taylor the Fiend. Go ahead and go on his channel and you can go ahead and see, but I don't know what to say, man. All I can say is that I just hope like the next big thing, like the next big TikTok or whatever, something like that, something that's big, that got people big and famous and all these streamers and Twitch streamers and stuff. I hope the next big thing starts to educate the minds of the youth, educate them on history, educate them on philosophy, real history, not the history that they tell you in school. History you have to go out and search for. You have to go to certain locations, talk to the tribe members, look at the history, look at the, talk to the shamans, look at, what native plants, what native instruments are there, what native fauna are there, what native animals are there. Look into the history of that nation. See, one thing I always loved was history. History has been one of my favorite things, just learning about history, because if you know about history, you understand human nature, and you kind of learn about the future a bit. And history and humanity has been insanity, because it's just been war after war. I mean, if you learned that some of the things Genghis Khan would do, the great Genghis Khan would destroy entire towns of people, entire cities, and you have bone piles for children, bone piles for females, bone piles for male, the elder. Like when Genghis Khan conquered, he totally devastated everything. He didn't show any mercy. And then you had Attila the Hun, you know what I mean, and people like that. Then you have Caligula, you have Emperor Nero, you have Emperor Commodus, you have all these people who gained supreme power and was conquering the world. Your Alexander the Great, your Julius Caesars, people like that, your Solos. And you look at it now, and we see people like who have different type of political beliefs or different types of political persuasions, and they're able to just fight each other. It's like, don't people see the bigger picture? Instead of us fighting each other, we should be coming together. We shouldn't be having little mini wars with each other for no reason. You may not like somebody, the way they look like, their political opinion or whatever, but you have to offer, you have to at least have decent human decency and integrity and respect for another individual you don't get along with. Like, let's say we're in prison, right? And, you ride with your car, you know what I mean? That's your race, Everybody in prison know what it is, but everybody's going to be a level of respect. You're not going to disrespect another car. You're not going to disrespect another race or nothing like that. And they, hopefully don't try to disrespect you. It's like there needs to be some type of, people need just to respect other people's opinions, thoughts, or whatever, It should be where the education system should be teaching economic and financial literacy. That's what children need. We need economic literacy. You should be telling kids that are like 10 years old how to start a YouTube channel. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, they're 10 years old. Tell them to take one of their toys and start making videos about their toys. And slowly 10 years later, they have a channel with, with how many subscribers, and that can actually turn into a business venture. Not your only business venture, but it's teaching them how to stay on something for a long time, how to develop it, how to talk, how to articulate, how to come up with different ideas, how to record, edit, and those type of things you need to make YouTube, and how to interact with fans, interact with haters and trolls, how to protect your privacy, because there's people online who, if they find you, or if they may find your channel and then like just be obsessed with you and then find out everything about you that they can that's online, and just be obsessive with you, But as Ranswag Gaming said, RWG, you give the fire with what you say. You know what I mean? So if you say certain things that are vulnerable, people are going to take that and try to use it against you or whatever. But that's every YouTuber. Every YouTuber says something personal. That's how you develop an audience, develop a fan base. Like, I would have never gotten as big as I was with thousands and thousands of subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views if I was just not being real. People related to me. People are like, hey, bro, blah, 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 happens to me too. Hey, I go through that too. And it's just interesting. But I want for the future, for the young kids, I want for them to be able to live their dreams and ambitions, man. You know, I don't want people to just be stuck in a certain situation that they hate, you know, in a certain situation that they feel like they can't grow spiritually or develop, or something that kind of takes away their creativity. Creativity for a lot of us is our passion. It's the flames of creativity that created innovation, and innovation is what created civilization, you know? So yeah, man, hope you guys have a good day, man. Peace.